I've got an awful lot of leftover milk this week. We get it delivered once a week by a friend because we use fresh whole milk. And as you can see, I've got ridiculous amounts. So I'm going to just very quickly make a halloumi-style cheese using heat and vinegar. And it's so simple that then I don't feel guilty about throwing stuff away. Never throw food away. So I bring it up to the boil. This is a process that will bore you, but while I'm doing that, I will explain about moulds. People who do cheeses pay a lot of money for moulds. I'm not someone who does that, so I took some things that go in the microwave and the deep freeze, cheap little disposable things, and Paul kindly drilled some holes in the bottom of this one, because whilst I can drain it in this, I produce a sort of shape, but this produces a square, and that's easy to slice, and it costs pennies, this did. One fits inside the other, so I've got something to drain it into, and this one compresses it with weights on the top, and we've got some of Paul's weights here that were just hanging around the house, and there we are, an improvised thingy. This is the vinegar. It's just vinegar. You can use all sorts of vinegar, cider vinegar, all sorts of vinegars, but this is the cheapest vinegar. You can substitute it for anything that's acid. So if you wanted to ferment it and make it acid, you could do that. There's so many options, but this is my instant solution to leftovers that won't fit in my fridge and I can't use and I don't waste. So I'm just going to bring it up to the boil, and I'll see you when it... Oh, before that, I just wanted to show you this, because this is a quick, easy way. This is a cloth. Okay. Yes, it is a sort of piece of cotton foil, and to sterilize it, I squeeze it out a lot in some water, pop it in there, really squeezed out tight, and let it dry out in the microwave on 1000. And over about 3 minutes, something like this will then come out sterile. It's such a quick way to do it. And I'm all about doing something a quick way today. So there you are. That's ready for when it all happens. And I'll see you in a few minutes with boiling milk. The reason I am bringing it to the boil and cooking it for a little bit is literally I am cooking it. They call it denaturing the protein. That makes it work so much better. But also it kills off all the bugs, because this is not brand new clean milk. Most weeks I have a sort of litre, half a litre, something like that left over. But this week, and I really don't know why, I think I've had a bit of a cold and haven't been terribly well, and I think I just didn't use milk. These are 2 flavourings, and the Greeks usually add mint, but they have a lot of mint around. But I find a little bit of oregano can make a big difference, make it more interesting. And also this one, chives, dried chives. So I add that towards the very, very end so we don't waste the flavours. But as I was making, I've got so much, I'll be giving it away. I should keep it plain because I don't know what the other people would like. And halloumi, I slice it into fingers and fry it in olive oil so it's crisp and golden on all the surfaces. Put it on plates, put some nice flavouring on it, such as salt, and serve it with mushrooms and, there it goes, grilled tomatoes. And that for me, okay, I think we're there. So I'm just going to put the salt in. That's that. I'm going to turn this right down. Stir my salt in. And that produces a substitute bacon because it's got a feeling, and I don't know, I just love it for breakfast, brunches, whatever. Now, what you've got is it's simmering. Can you see it simmering? Right, now if you just stay watching, I add some of this and mix it. I don't add it all because I can't measure it out, I can't work it out because the milk changes from week to week. Can you see it's gone? And the quantity, I'm using leftovers. Can you see? I've got cheese. Now all that remains is to get rid of my water, lift that out, and squeeze the water out of the mass. That was not difficult. Really, anybody could do this, and it would save a lot of people wasting so much milk, which is such a shame, isn't it? So I'm going to try lifting some of it out with this because it's coagulated very nicely indeed, and it's hot. Now that's very important because while it's hot you can mould it. Once it gets cold it gets very difficult. There. And there. But if it doesn't come together quite so readily, and sometimes it doesn't, you've got lots of little bits, well then in that case I just pour it through the sieve. I don't think we're going to worry too much about what's left. That's the trouble with glasses, you can't see, can you? But as you see, as I do that, you can see it's full of liquid. We don't want that liquid in it. No, I think I'm just going to get Paul to just pour it through here because it seems a shame to add the liquid back in that. Right, well, as you can see, there was just one lump at the bottom. So I'm adding that. Now, you can just put a saucer on there and some weights. But as I say, you end up with a bit of a strange shape. So at this point, what I now do, let's bring my thing over, and I've got this, and I put this in here because it's still very, very hot, very hot. And because it's so hot, I can actually manhandle it a little bit. I put one on the top, and you can see, you can get the shape you want. You can buy some very fancy, expensive equipment, but it's just not my style. This one just sits in there. It's got enough room for it to lose all its bits and pieces. Now, I take a breadboard, and I'm sure you'll find your own solutions. And I put a weight on the top. The secret really is to get it stable. I think maybe the cloth is too much as well. So let's just pull the cloth out to the side and see if I can't put that inside the cloth. Put that like that there. Put that like that there. Put that like that there. Good. And we put a couple of weights on the top. And that slowly pushes it through. And you can see it's got somewhere to go. Now, over a period of about half an hour, I add more and more weight. Okay? And try and produce a balance. But normally, I only have a quarter of this amount. There. So we'll leave that to compress. All you're doing is squashing out the water, and when you've got rid of your water, it'll fry beautifully. I store it in another little pot with a lid on it in the fridge. And I don't know how long it would last, but it doesn't last in our house because we eat it. Within 2 or 3 days, it's just all gone, isn't it? It goes really well with tomatoes, mushrooms. We've had it with fried cabbage. We've had it with all sorts of things. It's just a nice ingredient, and it uses up leftovers. Well, I'm back because it's been an hour or so, and it's at an angle because it compensates for the slope. But I need to get these off. And the little ones happened to fit in there, and Paul thought that was a better idea to get the gravity lower to help with a bit of a problem I had. Now you can see that it really has squashed it. And I'm going to lift the whole of this pot out. That, after you thought they were all thoroughly drained, is the water that finally came out under the heavy compression. Right, these are my little invention, and they really work quite well. And I'm going to see whether I can. This is the cheese, and you can see it's quite solid. And let's see if it'll fit. Yes, it will. That'll be fine. But I'm just going to cut it for you. Don't forget, in the fridge it goes harder. I'm going to cut it for you so you can see what I do with it. There it is cut. That is solid, and you can see it bounces. It's just wonderful. And then I'll cut that into 3, and then each finger, probably I'll give each person 2 fingers, and they get fried. Well, we shall be having that for breakfast tomorrow, and you know it gets stored in the fridge. Okay.